Regarding the spectral scaling panel, you see the screen where you can see first of all the target spectrum that you want to have as a reference in order to scale your ground motions to this target. So the first thing that you have to do is to compute the target spectrum in its panel here, and this will be automatically imported in the spectral scaling panel, and you can see it in target spectrum tab. As you can see, it's the same as the plot of the target spectrum panel, and you can see both plot and table, and you can also change what you are seeing in the plot, if it is the acceleration as of now, or the velocity, or the displacement. Anyway, you have then to import your ground motions in order to scale them with respect to this target. You can both import them from an external file, clicking File on the toolbar upper left, and then Import Ground Motion, and you can insert and import a ground motion, for example, let's say a txt file in this case. So you will see this tab here with the first line that is automatically retrieved by the application as the sixth one. In fact, you can select the first actual line of values, and you will see bottom right it is the value 6, and also the last line is automatically retrieved. In fact, we can go on the last line here, and the last line will be exactly in the same value. After, we have to say that our file has two columns. The first one is the time, and the last one is the acceleration. So we have to change from one acceleration column to time plus acceleration columns, with the acceleration column being the second one and the time column being the first one. After doing this, we just have to finish the work selecting the input acceleration unit, that in this case is the g, and the desired output acceleration unit, that in my case is still g. So after doing this, we have to click OK, and it will be automatically imported, as we can see in this message here. So once we import it, we see its information in selected record tab here in this table. We can also see the plot of the ground motion. Here is the first tab, the ground motion plot, and this is the acceleration at the time. And also in the original response spectra, we can see its response spectra, so acceleration on period. We can also change how we look at this plot, so in terms of displacement, or this is regarding the x-axis, so displacement or frequency or period. And also the y-axis, we can change from acceleration to velocity to displacement. And we can also download this plot, or see the table and look at the values. After doing this, we can also insert more ground motions. We can insert them again from an external file, or go into ground motion selection, selecting some records from some databases, for example these four, then clicking actions and going to spectral scaling, as we're talking about. And here you will have to choose just one component for each ground motion, for example X, Y, or Z. You can choose either you want, and after clicking OK, these will be automatically imported. Here, as you can see, these are added to the first one that we imported as an external file. So both of them, all of them, we can see in these plots. We can select them and look at them, and as you can see, the Y component is orange, the X one is blue, and the Z one is green, and the same is for the response spectra of these ground motions. So here we can analyze just the ground motions, also target spectrum, and then if we want actually to perform the scaling, we have to click here, define scaling parameters. You will see this box where you have to select if you want to scale the response spectra just on one period, for example the period 1, to match the target spectrum. And you can also select the maximum scaling factor, because maybe you don't want to scale too much, so the default value is 10, but you can change it, or you can remove it by clicking no limit. In this case, no limit will be applied. So this is the example of single period. In period 3 is the same thing, but you have to select a period or more than one. For example, let's say 1.5, 2.5. I will select just one with no limit, and I will click apply. After finishing the scaling, you will see here the original response spectra with our ground motions being very with low acceleration with respect to the target. So in the scaling one, they will be scaled up in order to match them in the selected period. And this selected period is from 1.5 to 2.5. So in this case, they are scaled in order to match them. But since this is the tail of the signal, this is very flat. So we can change, for example, the period to from 0, maybe, or let's say 0.1 to, for example, 0.5. This will be much better, because if you apply it, you can see that you have, more realistic ground motions where they are very similar to each other in the selected period range from 0.1 to 0.5. And you will see these bars here to highlight the period range that you selected. After, you can also see obviously this legend with all the records that you selected. You can see also the table selecting each of the record that you want to analyze. You see on the left the original table, so the original values of the response spectra, and the scaled ones, once you scaled according to the scaling factor computed on the period range that you selected. After, you have also the mean spectrum panel tab here, where you can see actually the mean spectrum with respect to all the response spectra that you selected, that you imported from the ground motions. This is the mean with also the error in these bands that you can see here. And also the median, so it's not computed as the mean, but as the median this time, and it is violet, so you can see the same plot if you want to look at higher level to all the ground motions that you imported here. After you finish your work here with the spectral scaling, you may want to export your results and save them as files and directories. So you can do this by clicking File upper left and Export Results. You will have to choose a destination folder, for example Download, and select it. After having selected, this will download a very nice bundle with all the files and directories inside. So I will show you. This is an example. We will have these folders from each tab here, from selected record, target spectrum, response spectrum, mean and median spectrum, and you can analyze them. You will see the same plots that you saw in the application, and also the tables in txt format with all the data that you computed inside the application.